So, what's happened recently, Adam?
We haven't recorded
What
anything in quite a while.
have we not? Yeah,
Like
it's
10
probably been
days, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been more than a week.
Because I took a week off. And
I
then
know.
Queen died, big up, so I got another day off. Liz
Fantastic.
taking one for the team, rest in peace and all that.
Yeah, rip.
But Carlos...
We can say that, by the way, because we're British.
Oh, yeah.
You
Well,
know.
everyone's been fucking saying it, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Only
I
my
wish
mum's given a
wish
shit.
I could have benefited from it. Obviously, being freelance this means nothing to me, a bank holiday, but there you go. Anyway,
Oh,
what were you
shit,
gonna
yeah.
say?
I don't miss those days whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, like when it was announced she died on the day, my mum changed her profile picture on Facebook to the Queen, and then sent me a message, and it shit me up a bit. I was like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And I like clicked on her profile, and it showed like the green online button. So it was a picture of the Queen Liz with the online button, like 10 minutes after it was announced she was dead. And I like pissing myself laughing. She was fucking fuming with me, mate. And I still can't quite get a rationale out of her as to why she would change her Facebook profile to a picture of the Queen. She said it was out of respect, but I don't understand that. Like, so it's just
quick respect.
yeah, honestly, the most ridiculous thing ever. But no, the Queen died. We didn't record for it. I took a break.
Couldn't be me, but some people are real like royalists, aren't they? Like super passionate.
I think it's the older folk, isn't it?
Yeah, but to be fair, like I have seen a lot of people. Apparently, like 1 billion people watched the wedding. Fucking hell, not the wedding, the funeral or the wake, whatever it fucking was.
I believe that. Well,
on the street.
they were all the bullshit projections that it was going to be like 4.1 billion.
Yeah,
I think that was the number, like just some absolute ludicrous amount. Where it was the time it was at, it was like half the people in the world be fucking asleep or at work. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah. I mean,
none of it made sense. So I don't know the actual numbers, but
no, but it was a lot, and I didn't catch any of it.
I guarantee it wasn't better than the final of Breaking Bad. So I mean, that deserves it much more than the Queen's funeral. But
yeah, you're not wrong. So
I wonder if we get like flagged for this by YouTube for like hate speech towards the Queen.
That's not hate speech. I don't hate her at all. I don't hate any of the royals. I honestly just don't care either way. Me, I really just am very indifferent towards it. Like they've probably spent a few 10 million on the whole thing. That bothers me a bit.
Yeah.
Like when we're in a literal cost of living crisis. To think how much they spent on it and stuff, that bothers me. But anyway, we're nearly 3 minutes in.
This is how we do it. Fuck it.
It's put a timestamp on. No,
so I get initially the topic today is about like the different styles of CEOs we've got in esports effectively, and it's been spurred on / inspired by Carlos Rodríguez, also known as Ocelote, the CEO and founder of G2, because he got in his Bugatti and drove to a club and took a video where Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate posted it on Twitter, which is the most stupid thing.
Whose Bugatti? Carlos's Bugatti.
His Bugatti.
Bugatti.
He got in his Bugatti, drove to the club.
I got in my Bugatti.
Packed it next to Tate Brothers' Bugattis. and then was captured in a video.
Oh,
and that's not even the stupid part is he put it on Twitter like a week after fucking Andrew Tate got deplatformed from everything.
Yeah.
Like even I think like I saw in a video he was like even Uber and Discord and stuff fucked him off. And like PayPal fucked him off and stuff. He got clean sweeped on the internet. And Carlos is like, yeah, this is a perfect time to post a video.
Yeah, but it was also then the double down. You know, it was a bit. The immediate backlash was funny and like just totally unsurprising. My mind instantly went to like, I don't know. Carlos hasn't exactly got the most glowing reputation in esports, has he? Like, I feel.
Well, a lot of people think the sun shines out of his arse, though. That's the thing. It's the.
Yeah.
I don't know if many people know like how he is like behind the scenes. Like I've seen internal like behind the scenes comms from him to his staff and stuff, and he's just he doesn't seem like the most pleasant person to be around.
Yeah, well,
in that respect. But
I've heard that as well. Yeah.
But on Twitter, I think he's normally universally loved. Everyone's like, "Hey, Dub, big Dub," and
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, if you're looking at like, sounds weird to say it like this, but the customer, you know, like the Twitter customer, like G2 fans and stuff. Obviously, he's like, you know, he's the image. He is the G2 brand. But like you said, I've also heard similar things where like, no, he's supposed to be a bit of a bellend, and yeah, my first reaction was like, fucking hell. Like, you can't even. How do I explain it? Like, it's so unsurprising that he would come out with something like this and then double down. It's just like, yeah, we already have a suspicion that this guy might be a bit of an asshole. Then he does this, and it's just like, do yourself a favor.
It's
You
a
know what I
tricky
mean? Like,
situation, but on the first video, there's nothing that suggests they're friends or anything. They're just in like the same VIP
yeah, yeah,
section at a club, and there's a
yeah.
video of like the Tate brothers opening champagne or whatever they're fucking doing. I don't know. And then like before it pans to them as just Carlos there quickly, and there's nothing to say like it was anything more than happenstance. It was only in like the follow up tweet, the double down, where he said like no one polices my friendship.
I think he was just trying to look cool. Andrew Tate probably didn't even acknowledge him. He was probably just trying to be like, "Oh, look, I'm with some people with clout here." Quick video,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he's just trying to double that. He was probably thinking it'd go really well if he says I party with who I want. It's like, yeah, he's showing strength of character or whatever, or he's showing
Which is fine.
integrity.
But like literally saying
Yeah,
friends, I think the friend like no one places my friendships or who I'm friends with. Like what though is a small thing like that terminology opens it up and makes it seem like okay, you're now saying you're friends with these people.
mm,
Uh that's the most stupid part about it. But again, like I don't
yeah.
if he didn't say they were friends and they were just in the same room, can all of this controversy really happen in a sense of like, yeah, people are going to be mad still, but it's not like he co-signs anything
Mm-hmm.
necessarily just by posting that video.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's just the video and like you said, the additional context doesn't come. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. It just, I don't know. He's with him,
People will have
whatever.
a
It's like
moan, but
it'll
they will
blow
about
over.
anything.
And people, yeah, exactly. But it won't be like a massive moan. It ended up going just nuclear, didn't it? And everyone was
Yeah.
saying like, and I don't know what you think about Andrew Tate. I happen to think he's an absolute clown. But for me, it was just like the whole, like I said, it was just so unsurprising that he did that. And I think people like insiders knew, like you, me, other journalists, like we've presumably heard the same thing about, or the same things about Carlos, and it can be a bit of a tough bugger to work with. So yeah, it was just like unsurprising for me, to be honest.
It's I don't know, man. Because the thing is as well, and I don't know. I'll probably get some particularly angry person like tweeting about me for saying stuff like this. But like I've got friends that I disagree with on stuff. I don't like seek out to have people who exclusively agree with me. Like I have older like family members whose views do not reflect mine. And while I will kind of challenge them on it when stuff comes up, like I'm not going to disown them, even if I don't see eye to eye on certain things, which are fundamentally important things a lot of the time. Like at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like it is what it is. And I've got friends. I don't think I have any friends who are right wing actually, but like I've got friends who have different stances to me on some shit. But like that doesn't bother me whatsoever. Now, if one of them was accused of rape or human trafficking and sexual abuse and all that kind of shit, if it's an accusation, it's one thing. If they're convicted of it,
Mm.
then I have to
Yeah, I
fucking
was gonna
address shit,
say,
and I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, okay. But
Mhm.
otherwise, like, if I'm really good friends with someone, that shit happens, and this is a tiny bit of a tangent, but and they assure me that shit that didn't happen, you know what I mean? It's just an accusation. I'm standing by them. So like, I'm not as binary. I don't exist in the binary. Thank you very much. I'm very progressive. Where it's just like I either hate them or I love them. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
there's more nuance to be had there. But I say all
I
that to
agree.
say, obviously, there's a bunch of shit around Andrew Tate right now. So
Mm.
just if you be friends with them, if you fucking want, I don't know if they are friends. Part of me thinks they're not. They were just in the same room anyway.
Yeah,
But like
definitely.
posting it to Twitter, you know what you're doing there. Like you're
Mm.
trying to like push the envelope again in part of your Twitter comedian fucking persona that you've got going. But
Mm.
like you know what's going on, and like it's impossible to not know some of the things around him and some of the stuff he said, where women are effectively his property and all
Yeah,
that shit.
yeah.
And he even one of his businesses actually functions like that because he runs like some exploitative like webcam slash OnlyFans model where like
Mm.
they
Yeah,
manage
yeah.
them, and there's a bunch of stuff around that. So it's just it's a regardless of like how I feel about Tate. Spoiler: I'm not a fan. A lot of the stuff is just mental, and I think most of it's an act. That would be
Mm.
my assumption. Don't know the fella, but it just seems like you try to be as divisive as possible on purpose to blow up and get the
Mm.
dosh. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's just
Close.
it's a strange one, but we can move on to the actual, I guess, like core theme of the video shortly. But again, like this is something we've spoken about in other episodes, and it's worth reiterating. How the amount of people that came out against him, fair play if you all believe in what you believe in, and that's fine. If it's just like the hot topic of the day, and you're just trying to get some interactions out of it, I fuck with you less. But then also, if you're getting paid by Riot Games, who just like they're having to pay out 100 mil because of sexual discrimination and fucking farting in girls' faces and all this kind of shit, none of the people got fired.
What? What's
Yeah,
that?
legit, like an
That's
executive or
heavy.
senior member or something like that literally walked past and one of the female employees and farted in her face, mate. And as far as I'm aware, they're still working at the
I
company.
didn't fucking know that. Sorry
Yeah,
for
yeah.
my
So like
friends.
100 mil settlement to pay out a lot of the women that came forward against all of the mistreatment and discrimination and stuff at Riot. So
Yeah.
you've got these Riot employees, Activision Blizzard's the same stuff there as all the walkouts going on and the union attempt, and they take the piss out of people too, and I don't want to use the word abuse, but are not very fair to women a lot of the time. And it's employers, these folk who have never spoken out about their companies before, but as soon as it's someone else, well, they're still accepting money from these places, which the culture ain't going to change that fucking quick in 1 or 2 years if it's like inherently fucked. It's just so, again, hypocritical, like absolute bullshit.
It was definitely a bit of
We're
a
not.
pile on. Like I said, I feel like that's just the nature of social media at the minute. But like I said, I'm not. I mean, I really don't like Andrew Tate at all. I just think he's a clown. But also, like the whole ocelot thing, I don't really give a shit because he is just like. I mean, like I said, it's not a surprise to me, but like it definitely became a pile on, and that's just what happened. And it like the kind of the it sweeps everybody up, so everybody feels like they have to criticize. Everybody feels like they have to have a say on it.
Yeah. If
So,
you're not willing to speak out on ESL getting bought out by Saudis, who I'm going to say this now, have done
which we
things
did.
much worse to women. They continue to do much worse things to women than Andrew Tate has, and to many more women. And theirs is fully like systematic, fucking is built in. That's how it is over there. No matter how progressive they're becoming under their new leader over the past few years. Okay, progressive just means you're allowed to drive now. But
AKA better
if you have
image.
permission
That's
to
what
do
that
so,
means.
yeah,
Yeah.
like and they've obviously announced new plans for 2030. They want to fucking run the world and all this kind of bullshit right through gaming.
Yeah.
But like the people aren't willing to speak out about like that, which is like a lot of their practices are fucking evil, like by most people's standards, right? Which we've discussed before. But then Carlos, who realistically we don't know that he's done himself has done anything like seriously wrong against people.
No.
Not like where he could get fucking arrested or sued or any of that shit.
Yeah.
But
No.
like now he's like the epitome of evil to these people. But again, they won't speak out against the serious shit who they're now presumably getting paid from or one day want to get paid by. Like it's fucking outrageous, mate. So like, yeah, Carlos, fair play. He probably deserves some time off since the double down, and he thinks he's the bee's knees he could do with being knocked down to a normal level a bit, maybe. But like, just how now he's suddenly painted with this particular brush. From people who are literally getting paid indirectly by regimes and stuff that treat women very poorly. Like that's these people's
And I
standards
guess
and morals aren't in the right place.
some of that is just
So
people just don't know. So it's like, how can you hold it against someone, something that they don't know? But then, yeah, like I said, there's always going to be a lot of hypocrisy. Like I said, it was just a pile on. It was just like it became a fanatical thing. But the reason we wanted to make a video on it is just because it's quite interesting, isn't it? How like, so Carlos used to play League of Legends, didn't he, professionally? You got Reginald at TSM. Like, there seems to be like I think anyway, my perspective on it is you're going to have these like controversies pop up, I think, every now and again. Or you're going to have these leaders of businesses in esports that maybe just shouldn't be leaders of these companies because, like, they started a team like TSM in the case of Reg, G2 in the case of Carlos. The starter teams don't really have any business chops at all. They were just pro players, big profile, really well known. Everyone in like esports likes them. They start the company does really well, and all of a sudden they're the boss of this big company. And you see it in traditional business as well. And like, we can maybe touch on a couple of examples that I'm aware of. does well, all of a sudden you have this big business that's earning like quite a lot of money. I think it's kind of inevitable that some of those people, if that happens, if that keeps happening, which it will, it has happened a lot already, there are going to be examples of people that just shouldn't be in those positions. So you've seen like Reg at TSM who's been like fined. He's been put on like a 2-year probation by Riot or something. He's basically under investigation. I mean, he's being investigated, but I think now they've set up like a hotline for employees of TSM. Like if he does anything, then they can ring Riot and basically they'll come down harder on TSM. Um, these people ultimately, like I'm not saying they're all awful, but they haven't shown any kind of business chops to like, when a company ends up, when FaZe hires Lee Trink as the CEO, Lee Trink is like an established businessman, and you get that, like, I suppose another good example is like Carlton Curtis at Guild. Like they brought him in because he knew what he was doing. He's ran businesses before, and he's a businessman. You wouldn't go out and hire some like 25, 26-year-old guy just if you were starting a business from scratch and you needed a CEO, you wouldn't do that. But in esports, because they're the people that kind of founded the business, they're the brand of the business, blah, 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 they're the CEO. And so I think you're always going to have scenarios that crop up where there are just incidents where they just maybe just aren't appropriate. They aren't fit to lead, or they aren't fit to manage people. So you're going to have these incidents, I think. Carlos doesn't act like a CEO, obviously, and neither does Reginald at TSM. And I feel
Yeah,
like, and maybe that's like, yeah, it's a small sample size, but I just think, and think this because I've seen it in like the marketing world of like people that just, maybe former influencers or pro gamers or whatever, and they start a business in something that they know does really well, grows, and then all of a sudden you got this big business. Then the dynamic of how you run that business and how you manage people, everything changes because now you've got, say, 100 employees instead of like 5, and then all of a sudden, like, if you don't check yourself and say, nah, I need to bring someone in that knows what they're doing, then you may be at risk. So you've seen like Nade Shot, I think, has done that pretty well. He brought people in that really knew business, and I feel like he's the figurehead. But you were saying earlier, like, he doesn't feel like he's so intrinsic to 100T that they wouldn't do well without him. Whereas with
it's
G2,
at
maybe
least
it's like that.
it's at least a separate entity. It feels like,
Yeah.
whereas like G2 feels like Carlos Gaming,
Mm-hmm.
whereas 100 Thieves feels like 100 Thieves. Like if he went, like it would be a loss because he's the CEO and the founder, but like
Uh-huh.
they could get away with it. Like they've done well in, like, they brought in obviously John Robinson and Jackson Dahl early on, and I think his name's Jason Tan, if I remember correctly, is like the CFO, like on the
Mm-hmm.
financial side from Riot, like early on. Surrounded himself with people who are much
Yeah.
smarter and more experienced than him in the world of business.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know exactly what decisions he makes, but like, if he is making all the pivotal decisions, he's got an arsenal of people around him who
Yeah. He'll
have the
probably have the
experience from
final
the
say.
business world.
Yeah, he'll have the final say, I presume. I mean, I don't know what his role is. Is it CEO? Is it
It is
president?
CEO, yeah.
Is it? So he'll have the final word. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't. It just feels like a well-run business. It feels like he's done the right thing by bringing in people that, who else has done that? Ben Francis at Gymshark.
Gymshark.
Yeah, he did that. He literally said on a podcast like, I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't fit to be a CEO. Like, so he brought somebody in and literally took a step down to be like, I don't know, the chief brand officer or chief marketing officer or
Yeah.
something like that. And got this guy in that just knew what he was doing, and that's how you do it. And there are other
Yeah.
examples. I don't want to like air dirty laundry, but there are other examples that I know of that like of companies that are run by, they're capable for sure, but they're run by people that have never ran a business, and you're running this big fucking thing now, and it's
Yeah.
it's so different, and so yeah, you're bound to run into problems, and I think you see that quite a lot in esports.
Yeah. I think part, like, so you mentioned the investigation against Reginald, right? Against Andy Din,
Mm-hmm.
but like it didn't find that he was a bigot or anything like that, but it found that he was a bit of an arse, effectively is.
Fully.
Yes, exactly right. Which part of me thinks if you go from being a player where you get a lot of attention, like there's pressure on you and stuff, but you're kind of responsible for how you're seen and your performance and stuff, right? And then you create something, which is then proven to be successful in like an industry that's growing, and everyone's touting you as like a business leader, and you're on Forbes 30 under 30 and stuff, and you've got this background as basically an online celebrity, or at least a celebrity within your niche.
Mm-hmm.
Like then you've got people say questioning you or not doing what you think is best. Like I personally think there's gonna be some ego. A lot of the time, at least, not for every person, but I could see a world in which there's ego among these like former players,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
influencers, content creators, and stuff.
Well,
Um,
yeah, they'll
where
see
like
this.
they're not open to being challenged or to even
Mm,
accepting the fact that they're not perhaps the best person to run it from an operational point of view. Yeah, you probably know the brand best. It's an extension of you. You've built it. You know what it is at its essence. I understand that, and that's kind of where I think Nadeshot's gone with it. And Hex is a more complicated situation. We was discussing before this. Like
mm,
he didn't necessarily find the org and stuff, but
yeah.
he's developed it to what it is now, and he's
And
not.
he's a bit older, and I think he'd
Yeah,
already done
yeah,
some stuff in business anyway, hadn't he? I can't remember
yeah. He was
exactly
working for
what.
like a bank, I'm pretty sure, or like mortgage company or
Yeah,
something along those lines, like a
so he had
business
more of
analyst or
an
something, maybe.
idea. The people that get to this point, they start the company, yeah, it's their brand, and then it is dead successful for like the first 5 years or whatever.
Hmm.
When you're in that position, like you were saying, the ego comes in and you probably feel like I've done this well on my own so far. That's the classic thing, isn't it? Like now, like how are you telling me I'm now doing it wrong when look what I've just built,
Hmm. Yeah,
So yeah, that's definitely going to be something that I think will affect, or does affect esports founders and
yeah,
CEOs.
and so like Hex, obviously it was the merger with Envy. Now Envy's no longer a thing. Adam Reimer is the CEO of Optic Gaming, which is obviously the title of the collective group, which includes Dallas Fuel and
Mm,
Optic Texas as well. But like, so even he's like, no, you run this shit from an operational point of view. You make sure the business is good in some levels, and I know what I do best within the Optic camp, which is like working with the players and the creators and getting the best out of them and making sure the content's decent and
mm,
making sure we've got this special jersey coming out to coincide with this date. You know what I mean? All the stuff for the fans. It's like it feels
mm,
like everything fan centric. He knows how to engage the audience and build an audience. He's proven that, but does he know how
mm,
to secure the best partnerships and maybe get into a new league, which Optic seemingly have missed out on with the North American
mm,
long term partnership thing in Valorant. Like I think with experience, he's realized because he was running the show entirely at one point, right? And then sold majority to Infinite, and then the Immortal stuff happened, whatever. But even back then, that was him saying like, "Look, I can't do this all by myself,"
mm,
and it takes some bollocks to admit that, but. I
mm,
think that's the way to go, but it's part of a new breed of CEO. It's like two breeds of CEO. I think as those that are brought in like Adam Reimer with, and as you say, Lee Trink with his like a music industry experience. I think he was like
yeah,
Capitol Records and maybe Universal and stuff like that in the past, right? But
yeah,
then there's
something
also
like
the
that.
influencers and former pro players. So you look at Koi, huge Spanish brand which came out of nowhere, which is like PK, and I don't know how to pronounce the name, but Abai, I think it is the big
Oh
Spanish
yeah,
streamer.
yeah, yeah,
Carmine Corp, K Corp, they're headed up. They were founded by a big French streamer and influencer. And we've got
right,
Reynard for Tempo Storm and Nadeshot with 100 Thieves. Envy with Hastro, he was a former COD pro. So like as a good sample size now for seeing how those operated versus your evil
mm,
geniuses with Nicole Lapointe Jameson. And as I say, even like Optic now with Adam Reimer to some degree and Phase
yeah,
with Lee Trink, like even though he's got like some of the original Phase people around him, he's calling the shots seemingly on a macro level.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
there are seemingly like two breeds as the experienced business folk or folk from the original or I shouldn't say original, I should say like the real business world, and then as the
yeah,
former gamers turned business folk. And
yeah,
I do think there's some merit to the influencers and stuff because building a brand is essentially building a business in a sense, right? So look at Nadeshot, like especially when he retired from pro play and he was just creating content. He's like he won't be doing his editing, his thumbnails. He he's not going to be scheduling it, his tweets or all the peripheral content around it. Like you
mm,
have to liaise with people and work with people and find the right people to fit in and maybe a bit of conflict resolution or someone's maybe slacking. You need some people skills. Like I think you
mm,
can learn some valuable lessons at that point, which can be carried through, but obviously at a much larger scale now. If you look at a company with 100 employees versus like 3-4 contractors who are working with you to get your YouTube channel like popping.
Yeah,
I do think there's some things you can learn there. So I don't. It's not like they're going in necessarily from scratch if they have that kind of background. I think, and he's managing his merchandise and thinking, I get this partnership with G Fuel and do this or
yeah.
Red Bull and do that.
And obviously,
But
these people are obviously like very capable to do that, to get it to the point where it, where you have the initial success. But I think the
yes,
problem comes when you try and hold on to it for too long, or you just become like a control freak. That's what it feels
essentially,
like. And this might be wrong. This is like speculation, but it feels like Carlos can't take his hand. Like it seems like from my perspective, he would struggle to step away from G2 and like not have a say in anything. I know now he's taking the leave without pay and stuff, but I mean like
it'll
from
be
the
like Jordan
brand.
Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, wouldn't it? I'm not fucking leaving. Like, where it's just
Yeah,
like, this is
I
my
don't see
thing. I'm
it.
running this shit. Only I'm capable of manning this shit.
Yeah, and like he seems like a bit of a control freak. Maybe that's harsh. I shouldn't say that because I really don't know. That's the thing.
But you're
It
allowed
seems
to
like he's
say
probably
what you see.
yeah. I mean, he does. He seems like a control freak in terms of the image and stuff.
Spoiler: he is based on internal communications I have seen.
Nice, right? Okay, verified.
Do not fucking tweet it out this way. You need to tweet it out this way. No, that is not how that should go. Oh, why does this graphic look like this? You know what I mean?
So again, there's a fine line. Like that's also just high standards and stuff. But yeah, it goes past a certain point, doesn't it?
But like that's the point. Like you bring in people who are more knowledgeable and better than you at certain areas and let them take over. Right? That's literally how you're like, oh, I need someone who knows financials better than me, or someone who has got a good network in partnerships. They can speak to people that I don't fucking know. They already have foot in the door at fucking the G Fuels and all these kind of companies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You bring people in who, he's operated multiple businesses before. I haven't. So like, it'd be good to have his knowledge of what's right, maybe what's wrong.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, bring a head of social media. They're plugged into it all the time. Like, they're the perfect person to take over. You have to have some trust. And I think, yeah, if you try to be a control freak about shit, then you're not letting people perform and do what they do, and that's the reason you brought them in, right? So, and then that can create a whole lot of fuckery because they could be thinking, why don't they trust me? Why am I not being able to do my job here? And then you start to get a rotten company culture quite quickly there, which I'm not saying any particular org has or hasn't. Got a rotten company culture by any means, but it's I don't know, man. It's it's such a messy one, this Tate stuff. I keep going back to it, and I'm just like, if you just didn't tweet it out, like you're making it into the franchise league in Valorant, you'd be fine. But now I think,
do you reckon, by the way?
Well, and this is what the reports are saying, right? From I think Kevin Hitt and from Nell and Direct, and from George. All like there was emergency last minute kind of meeting about it. Because G2 have been trying to get into NA for a long time, so they applied for the NA League, not the EU League. I believe they actually went for the LCS back in the day as well, not the LEC.
Right.
But Riot were like, nah, fam, like you're big in Europe, stay over there. They took 10 mil in investment, I think 2018, 2019 from the owner of the Brooklyn Nets as well. And that's why they're opening up their New York office, and Carlos is supposed to be moving over there if he hasn't already. So like they've got a big NA push planned, but like they're not in this Valorant league now. And part of me just thinks, if his ego's ignited more by this happening rather than actually conceding, what if then this relationship with Riot Games is sour because of the Valorant exclusion? And you think, well, I've just signed a female League of Legends team. I'm going to fuck them off. Why am I helping your ecosystem? Oh wait, I'm in the LEC where spots are like 4 times as valuable as they were when I bought in. I can just sell this spot and get 35 mil for it. Okay, I'm going to fuck you off then. I'm not going to build your league when you've kicked me out and didn't stand by me when I've maybe stood by you throughout this stuff.
Very interesting, yeah.
You know what I mean? I just, there could be a rift there, or it could just be completely normal. He apologizes when he comes back and goes, I fucked up. It's all good now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like it'd be a very smart move to like go against Riot and alienate Riot, because they have the two best like esports essentially in terms of like you're choosing Valorant. If you're choosing an esport for the next probably 5-10 years, you're choosing Valorant almost certainly. I know I would. And then you've got League. What would you not?
Mobile Legends bang bang.
Yeah, but that's just different here, isn't
I'm joking. They get sued by Riot Games every fucking month, mate. Like it's only a matter of time before they're gone. So yeah, because it's just a copy of League of Legends on mobile, and now Wild Rift's out. It's just fucked.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at Aldi. Any of our UK massive Aldi, you can go is the exact same branding as Dr Pepper. They sell Professor Peppy, bro.
Is that what it's
Professor
called? Is
Peppy.
it?
Yeah, swear to God,
Oof.
mate. And there's other ones so my point was like they might get sued a lot. I don't know if it makes a difference. Like you can kind of
Maybe
rip
not.
stuff
Yeah.
off and seemingly just survive and do really well. It's
You
weird.
just
I
you
don't
just
get how
have
they
to
get
make
away
sure
with it.
you're toeing the line enough. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I remember going Aldi when I was a kid and getting
Yeah.
Titan bars and fucking Jives instead of Twixes and stuff, where they taste the exact same. Like these Titan bars are basically Mars bars, I think, and all this kind of shit. Yeah, and it's just
Yeah,
like, well,
yeah.
they can't do it because the branding's not the same. The way they create them, I assume, is somewhat different. There's enough differentials in the
Yeah.
ingredients to just get away with it.
There must
You know,
just be something like a technicality that they can just keep getting away with it. And I can't
it's
remember what the original point was. What were we saying? Flipping out.
Mobile
Oh,
Legends.
Mobile Legends. Yeah, yeah. Maybe they just found like a technicality and they're just going
Yeah,
to keep surviving
because you were
forever.
saying you think Valorant's like the esport of the future. I tried
In the
watching.
West. In the
Oh, in
West.
the West, okay. I watched like some champions, like Loud versus Optic. I just
Oh, yeah.
just the back and forth is cool and got me kind of into it, but like the game itself, like I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
know. I actually agree. The game itself has a lot of like areas for improvement in terms of the spectacle.
there's a lot going on,
Yeah, there's a lot
and
that
it's not
goes
very well explained. You know what I mean? It's like it feels like you almost have to have played or watched enough to understand the drafting and the abilities and stuff. Which again is the same with League of Legends, and that's like globally one of, if not the biggest competitive title. So like they probably don't give
on.
a fuck. It's like you will learn this if you want to be involved in what everyone else is talking about, you know. But for me, I could do like a noob stream where it's like, right, well, they've looked in this character, and therefore this ability is going to do this, and that enables them to do this. And the reason they didn't pick this character in response is, but you know what I mean? Like, break it down for me so I can get further invested in the actual game as opposed to just the storyline between the teams.
Yeah,
Because
because
Loud and Optic were going against each other a lot. So
because there are a lot of different in certain games. It's pretty intuitive. You know that certain things, for example, are flashes that are gonna blind the enemy. In Valorant, there are so many different like ways to flash and to throw a grenade and to put smokes down. So if you don't know the game, you're figuring out like, wait, hang on, what the hell's this thing that he's just thrown out of his hand? Like, is it a
yeah,
smoke? Is it a flash? Like, yeah, there are a lot of areas of improvement that that Valorant need to make for sure. Like
yeah,
in terms of the actual gameplay and spectacle, but I just think like the whole system of it, the ecosystem of it, is very very promising and well put together. Like Riot know what they're doing. Like Riot, they really do. Like with League of Legends has gone really well, and Valorant has gone really well so far. Like the decisions they've made have been good. So I'd back Valorant. To be fair, I think they'll figure some stuff out.
Well, I think the next video we're going to record is on Valorant esports, right? So
Could be,
uh,
yeah, could be.
based on what I think you said before we recorded this, that you're interested in doing
I'd
so.
like
So
to. I'd like to.
this is a formal acceptance of that
Okay,
premise.
nice.
We shall do so.
Breaking
So
news.
if you like
Breaking
that shit
news.
game,
Adam's
then
going to do a Valorant episode with me.
yeah,
Nice.
speak about that dead game. No, I'm joking. No, yeah, that's fine. It's something a bit different in it, so why not?
Yeah, bit
But
different, and
so
it's important to the esports scene. I think it is like the new big boy. So
well, you can try and convince me that in the next episode. Then
yeah, okay,
we can
sounds
have
good.
that. We could call it. We could just have a debate about Valorant.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
No,
fucking
actually, no, I
yes.
don't care enough. I believe you. I'll trust you, mate, more than I trust myself on that. So, but generally, so I think like on the CEO topic, I think we've touched on the main strokes. Like there's two different types it seems emerging, and one seems like it's a more turbulent time, and we like I think we both agree that they need to surround themselves with people that know what's what, and maybe
Yeah,
at times concede a little bit more and accept the fact that they don't know everything and they're not the masters of this industry because no one is. Um, as they like to say, like the general narrative, it's evolving all the fucking time. It's ever growing and ever changing this digital landscape. So you can't master it. You need to stay on top of it, right? And I think a mixture of like just veteran experience, business knowledge, alongside like the kind of tech savvy and community based understanding
yeah,
that these people can have. Like I
yeah.
think that's an important mix.
I agree. I think
Otherwise, you get lost in the fucking sauce.
yeah, clearly. I mean, it seems obvious to me that like the best solution is that middle ground, isn't it? We've seen what it's like when you go too far one end with the control freak CEOs that. Yeah, I mean, it's obvious when you get to a certain point, you need to bring in business expertise, like you just do, and that goes for any industry, by the way. It's not just esports. So,
Yeah.
yes, Yes, indeed.
But
Nice
Billy,
one,
mate, what colour's
Yeah.
your Bugatti?
No, you sound Somerset. You sound
Yeah,
Somerset.
I'm just like, now then, my lover. Gonna go on my chatter.
Anyone that doesn't know, that's meant to be his impression of Andrew Tate.
I should take this off to go bald and then go for it. But
Nice.
I don't know how
Nice.
fresh I'm looking.
Yeah, you've got the bald head, you've got the beard. I don't even know. Does Andrew Tate have a beard? I don't really know.
He does, yeah. I also have 4 world titles in kickboxing.
Nice.
I also live in Romania, and I am Andrew Tate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's actually my idol. Like, I'm his stan. But no,
Everything I
before that
said
gets clipped out of
negatively.
context, and we've already been called the GB News of esports, and I got
We should
put in a
that.
pile alongside like sex offenders and stuff. So
we should put that on our about page. I love that. It's so funny.
Yeah, but some people will take that seriously. That's the worrying part, mate.
Nah, they won't. I mean, they might, but fuck them.
Because we aren't both majorly right wing.
Yes, we are very, very right.
Again, we should stop saying stuff that can get clipped out of context, you know. Because one day that will come back. Like in 7 years' time, there'll just be a clip of you saying, "I am very right wing," by the way, and you'll get fired. The CEO of fucking whatever. You're going to be a CEO of something by then. So
probably get sacked for that these days.
That's what I'm saying. That's a scary thing. But right here, everyone. Cheers for watching. Right. We are back. Yeah. A Valorant video within the next week. Should we say next few days?
Within the next week. Yeah. Let's not promise too much. You know.
No.
Let's see what's what. But
I can only talk so much esports before I lose my rag. So
we're
on a good cadence. Right here. Thank you all for watching. Caress that fucking like button, you slags.